Okay, this is going to be kind of a high-tech video, as you can see, because I'm using a blue paper towel holder, but I wanted to go over something that has come to my attention, particularly in my own car, and that's it. Apparently there's counterfeit spark plugs. So, real quick, these are plugs out of cylinders 6 and 8, or vice versa, off the Mustang, and I've probably been running them for about a year now, and probably about 2 or 3,000 miles. And they're supposed to be NGK 6510s. I don't know if you can see. I mean, they even have the number on them. You can see that. Maybe not. I don't know. Iridium, model number NGK. Pulled these out of the box, bought them off eBay. I mean, they even have the... you could probably can't see it. They have the batch number right there, and they have made in Japan right there. So, literally anybody would be fooled by these, pretty much, unless you knew that they were counterfeits. So, been running these all 8 for, brand new set of them when I supercharged the Mustang. Got them the 26 thou, and what the first indicator that something was wrong was that it seemed like they weren't really holding their gap. And I really only checked them a couple times, but I remember putting them in, running them for a while, and then coming back, and the gaps were like in the 30s. And they weren't even close to what I would have hypothetically gapped them to prior. So it was kind of weird, and it was concerning. It was like, why is my gap increasing by like 10,000s? So, and recently the car's been kind of running like crap, so it would kind of like it's hard to say, but it like hesitate, and it would kind of chop a little bit just under, like, not idling but mild acceleration, down the highway or something. It would kind of have some stutter to it. I was like, something's not right. And so I don't even know how I came across this, but apparently they make fake spark plugs. So these are real NGKs. They are real 6510s by Rock Auto. And as far as I can tell, at this point, I mean, as you can see here, the counterfeits are so convincing that the only places that I've heard that you can get real ones, like, unequivocally, is obviously your box stores like O'Reilly's, AutoZone, Napa, whatever. Problem with them is they're $20 a piece for a spark plug. So unless you want $160 spark plug change, that's kind of out of the question. Rock Auto sells these for, I think it's $6 a piece, and I'll show you how you can tell a good one from a bad one. Okay, so I got my gapping tool right there, but real quick, I just gapped these to 24 thou and like a hair. So they're holding their gap. I mean, I only put about 100 miles on them since I gapped them last. But you can see, like, the threads are really, man, this thing does not want to focus. You can see that the threads are like really crap. And that's one of the things I noticed when I put these in. I was like, well, maybe with an aluminum head that the threads aren't gonna like be perfect like a steel head, where you can feel them threading really easily. Aluminum obviously is going to be a little bit softer, a little different. I mean, don't force it in, but it's going to have different thread feel than steel. So I didn't think anything of it, but looking back now, the threads are just dirty on those, and they're not really great. But okay, how to tell that these ones are fake? First off, so it really depends on the type of spark plug. They have to be resistor types. So, and then if they're resistor types, you can look up the spark plug and the manufacturer, and they will specify the proper resistance that should be through the plug. And so that'll obviously vary from plug to plug. For 6510s, NGK specifies about a 5,000 ohm resistance, or 5 kilo ohm resistance. And the way that you do that, these are junk, so I'm going to open this way up so I can get in there. So open it up. Obviously, you don't have to be that egregious, but I don't really care about them anymore, so it's whatever. And you're gonna take one end. See what you guys can still see. You're gonna do one end on the end, and then if it's a true iridium, or really, you're gonna want to find just the tip. So that is about 1 mega ohm, which is a mega ohm is 1,000 times greater than a kilo ohm. So even though it's jumping around, which also isn't a great sign, but this electrode's been worn out a lot, so I don't expect much from it. But yeah, they're all over the board. I'll try and find a different spot on this electrode. So on the back here, and then just try and find the tip here, especially if it's been running. So that's more of what I was getting earlier. 43 kilo ohms. And I already tested, I think it was cylinders 3 and 5, and they were about 20 and 15 kilo ohms. So also, you know, and part of them being, and I'll even switch these around, you know, for the skeptics, even though it makes absolutely no difference. Apart from them not being 5,000 kilo ohms, you'll also see them swing a lot. So like I said, that one was this is probably going to be in the 30 to 40 kilo ohm range. And the ones I tested earlier, cylinders 3 and 5, were 15 and 20. So they swing a lot because they're just crappy spark plugs. So 6.4 mega ohms there. I mean, it just depends on where you contact it at. I'd like to see if I can get it down in the kilo ohms. That's more reasonable. It could just be carbon. I'm gonna go take this to the wire wheel real quick. Okay. Wire wheeled that, and that's how they'll get you. Or that's not how they get you, but that's how they try and pass it off. Is that this electrode here? I'll show you in a second after I get this. Yeah, we're still in the mega ohms. I mean, like 1, 2 mega ohms, pretty much. Yeah, so that's like unbelievably out of whack. So, turn that off real quick. But that's how they pass it off as an iridium, is that this really isn't an iridium tip. I forget what they say that it's technically is, but it's like a carbon tip. Not a carbon, but like a copper tip probably, or something like that. And they actually, they machine down, they lathe down this tip to make it look like an actual iridium tip. And so, I've already pulled one of these out to verify that they're actually real. Because again, look. I mean, they are, I mean, aside from this one being new and this one not, like, they are brand new. Although what I am noticing is this one has the model number. You're just going to have to deal with my phone camera. This one has the model number right here, and then some dashes and NGK, whereas this one says Japan and slashes, but nothing else. So there's a difference there. There's also some fading difference on the two. But again, a lot of this could also just be that, you know, they've been ran for 3,000 miles, so they're not going to be perfectly new. But the fading here versus here is pretty big. But I'll show you the biggest difference and how you can tell, you know, de facto whether they're good or not. Even if it is real, like if you have that much resistance in the spark plug, that can't be good for your coil packs. So, real 6510 here. Should be 5,000 kilo ohms. .4 kilo ohms. If you can get in there. Pretty much 5. I mean, that's within margin of error just because of trying to fit in there in the electrode. I also saw the video. There's a pretty good video circulating right now about how to tell the difference between them. And the cardboard's a big difference. This is a loose fitting cardboard. So it's not like super tight around the threads. It's not going to leave cardboard residue on your threads, you know, that you could also just transfer into your threads on your head. So that's nice. There's one. Here's another new one. Allegedly / verified that it is a real 6510. Sorry, this is kind of a 4.8 kiloohms, pretty much 5 kiloohms, depending on where you touch. So, and you can see it's kind of hard. I really want to see if you guys can tell the difference between the tips here. But the tips are significantly different. You can even kind of see them there. This tip is a lot more pointed, and you can see a difference between the very finest point being the iridium material, and then it's machined down in a conical shape to whatever the rest of the spark plug is, versus this one's kind of flat and it's stepped. Like it's a much chunkier electrode here than the real one. But yeah, so that's how you tell the difference between, you know, the real and the fake. Again, assuming that these ones are real, which at this point I, you know, hard time believing anybody, but Rock Auto seems to be like a definitive source for actual spark plugs. So that's how you can tell for sure. I know there's another video out there that does a really good job, but just want to make it out, you know, put it out there. So I will also put the guy that I bought the spark plugs from on eBay so that you don't buy stuff from him. I've already reported him, but honestly, he needs whatever's coming to him and then some for doing something shady like that. So yeah, thanks a lot, and see you later.